Alrighty everybody, it is now June 11th of 2022, and that means we're only getting closer to the end of the Kenobi TV show. Before we move on to focusing on shows like Tales of the Jedi, The Bad Batch Season 2, Star Wars Andor, The Mandalorian Season 3, and of course, the long-awaited Ahsoka Tano TV show, which by the way, I think is going to be by far one of the best Star Wars shows because let's not forget that Dave Filoni is involved as well as Jon Favreau in ways that are going to go beyond The Mandalorian. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that there has been a lot of criticism over the Kenobi TV series, and rightfully so to a degree. So far, I will be honest, being very rational here. The Kenobi show is entertaining. It has its moments, it has its good scenes, it has its average scenes, but it's got a lot of bad sequences in the show. Nothing against Moses Ingram, but I really do feel that the character of Reva at times, not all times, has very horrid dialogue. And I went over this a couple of times before, just yesterday and the day before, that they really needed to improve the character of Reva and perhaps focus a little bit more, perhaps on Fifth Brother or maybe some of the other Inquisitors. I just feel like that they're being left in the background and just as a backdrop. So moving forward from all of this, alright? Everything that has to do with the Kenobi TV series and creator George Lucas. Alright, this is very interesting stuff because what's really all the more intriguing has a lot to do with what George Lucas thinks of the Kenobi TV show and why he actually does not like this series in comparison to what they were going to do with the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie that he was actually heavily involved with and supervising the project with Kathleen Kennedy on board as well. Now, with that being said, with creator George Lucas working very close now with both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni on shows like The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, George Lucas has been having quite a struggle with his view of the Kenobi series so far by writer Joby Harold, and how many pieces of the Kenobi movie script transferred over to the series. Now, it's described that Lucas refused to even attend many of the panels that oriented around the Kenobi series at Star Wars Celebration, since he has been very upset with how things turned out with Kenobi as a show. Now, it's described that Kathleen Kennedy initially promised George Lucas that no story elements from the Kenobi movie script that were bad would have transferred over to the Kenobi series that were poorly written, and that Kathleen Kennedy and George agreed on all of this. George only wanted the good and quality parts of the movie to be used in the series, something that Kennedy refused to do by hiding the good pieces from the Kenobi movie script to be used in the show. This is what caused George Lucas to be very upset over the series when they did a preview test viewing with the creators and audience members. George was described to be very unhappy about the whole lack of music from John Williams in the show and felt it took away the magic of Star Wars and that intense feeling of joy and or doom. George Lucas is described to also now be very upset and annoyed over the fact that they used many pieces from The Last Jedi, such as Kenobi turning himself off from the Force from the longest time, and the lack of Yoda teaching Kenobi on how to commune with Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, this was an original part of the Kenobi movie where Yoda would actually teach Kenobi how to actually connect to the netherworld of the Force. Let me just stop right here for a second. Now, that is a very good point, the fact that we have a moment where Kenobi is trying to talk to Qui-Gon, and we're not quite sure exactly how Kenobi is figuring out how to even attempt at doing this. This is something that they really crucially left out. Now, I get it, it's 10 years later, I understand this. They probably wanted to shift away from the whole Yoda training Kenobi type thing, because maybe that took place a year after Revenge of the Sith. I get that, but the least they could have done was that they used whatever they had in the movie to be thrown into the script. For all we know, what was being shown in the movie could have very well spanned multiple years. It could have been showing us the beginning of Kenobi's life on Tatooine, leading up to 8 to 10 years. In fact, the movie, in case you guys did not know, reportedly it was supposed to take place 8 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith instead of 10. Just a little interesting fact there. But moving forward from all of this, alright, George Lucas really does not like the Kenobi series, and it does explain why he was absent from Star Wars Celebration's main panels. That really actually does reveal a lot, and it really makes me just think about it right now. I never even thought about that until now. No wonder George Lucas was not at a lot of panels with Hayden and Ewan on stage, you know, talking about the Kenobi series and the like. He was there for, you know, the last Celebration in 2019. He was also there for the one in, you know, 2017 with The Last Jedi and Rogue One, etc., to a degree. But he just did not want to attend the main panels that revolved around Kenobi, and now it makes a lot of sense. So moving forward from all of this, alright, now it goes on to actually progress to a point in time where this was an original part of the Kenobi movie script, where Yoda's voice was going to be a very big part of the movie by trying to actually train Obi-Wan on how to connect with Qui-Gon Jinn. Lucasfilm decided to completely erase all of the Yoda scenes that were supposed to be in the Kenobi project, including Yoda in the flesh on Dagobah talking to Kenobi remotely, switching back and forth between Tatooine and Dagobah. This was all Lucas's idea that got erased and unused in the series, and is the main reason why he decided to not attend the major panels at Star Wars Celebration that had to do with Obi-Wan Kenobi. In addition to this, Lucas initially also agreed with Kathleen Kennedy that they were going to keep several Clone Wars flashback scenes in live-action form, where both Anakin and Kenobi would be seen in live action going up against a series of battle droids. To this day, Kennedy decided to only keep one flashback reportedly in the show that deals with both Anakin and Kenobi. Lucas was also heavily depressed and annoyed over these dramatic decisions by Kathleen to leave out all the good material from the Kenobi movie to not be used in the show, and focusing more on the lackluster scenes that became a part of the final cut of the series. Now, let's be clear about this. The movie was a very on and off project. It was in production at times, at other times it was on hold, and at other times it was assumed to be cancelled. Then they picked it up and made it into a show. And even the show got rewrites by Kathleen Kennedy's hand. She's the one that ordered a lot of rewrites back, you know, months and months before they began filming. So I think that's why that there's also a lot of inconsistency issues with the Kenobi show, and why there's a lot of editing flaws in especially episode 4. There was also a lot of refilming here and there. They had to rush this thing out to get this thing released on, what was it, May 27th? So yeah, I mean, it really puts things into perspective of how this really does come off like another version of The Rise of Skywalker, where George Lucas got very angry, very annoyed, did not attend the premiere of episode 9, and that was why. Here we are again, same exact scenario. Did not appear the main panels for the Kenobi series, and all of the, you know, moments where Hayden and Ewan were on stage, etc. George was not to be found. So overall, guys, you know, let me know what you guys have to say about all of this, because it is a very intense situation where a lot of fans are very unhappy with the show. There's other fans out there, however, that like the show. Again, as I said, I believe that the show is good in parts. There's pieces in the show that are very well done, but there's a lot of them that are heavily flawed. So overall, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.